Yeah, she's a beauty. It's been a bit since I've taken a new e-bike out for a spin, and I have a lot of thoughts on this one. Hey there, this episode of Some Gadget Guy is brought to you by you. Yes, viewers like you. All of the incredible people sharing content on social media. The sharing is super important, and the generosity of my patrons at patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. More info on those awesome nerds later in the video. Okay, so this is the good, the bad, and the awesome. The folks at HeyBike sent this my way to take on an extended road test drive. It's always fun when I mean it, literally. And I get to share my thoughts. This is the Ranger S. It's a fat tire folding e-bike, which in my brain, I have this issue where I've kind of been compartmentalizing e-bikes. I have a big fat tire bike that I love to take on trails. And then in my head, something like a folding bike makes a lot more sense as something like a city commuter. I've got a tiny little bike that I think would be awesome if I were working downtown and I just needed to get from a condo to the office. Putting both of these ideas together, I actually was a little concerned because you've got a lot of power, you've got big fat tires, got front suspension, and then also, you've still got to be able to fold it up. So you need to have a rigid frame when you need it, and then the pieces and parts that move around so that you can store it. Spoiler, for part of the conclusion of this video, I really didn't need to be that concerned. The folks at HeyBike sent over the spec'd up version of the Ranger S. There are two versions that they sell. One starts with the 750 watt motor. They sent me the 1000 watt motor, and that's a pretty beefy big boy there. It changes up a few of the characteristics on this bike, but I kind of want to just keep getting around the tour here. We got that big boy chunky frame. You could also use it to like work out your biceps if you're really fitness oriented. I didn't realize that my battery plug was kind of exposed. This is kind of the middle tier of HeyBike's folding bike lineup. This has front suspension. They also sell another model that has rear suspension. For my needs, I'm not doing a lot of that kind of technical riding where the rear suspension made sense. This is something for me that I've talked about in some of my other videos where as I'm out and about in our neighborhood, we have a lot of older community with older roads. So even though I'm mostly doing sort of city bike kind of commutes, rough pieces of asphalt, lots of gravel, the fat tires come in handy. You really want that comfortable ride, even when you're making a quick jaunt out to Trader Joe's. Pretty decently outfitted. We've got that 7-speed Shimano. This is a class 3 e-bike, so not only do we have pedal assist from the motor, we also have a dedicated throttle. The 1000 watt motor does come with a torque sensor, so as you start pedaling, the application of torque is very immediate. It is extremely smooth. And then also just a couple little niceties on the handlebars. We have this cute little horn, surprisingly loud, better than a ding ding. Dedicated controls for the front lamp. I love being able to turn those on and off just like I were driving a car or a motorcycle. A note that I've had on some other e-bikes where we are talking about a vehicle that almost reaches moped-like characteristics on a class 3 e-bike. It's nice just to see that we've got brake lights enabled, and this has the cute little addition of having turn signals. I am often interacting with traffic, and anything I can do to kind of help my communication with drivers around me, that's gonna be a big win in my book. You get going up pretty quick. You definitely want those hydraulic disc brakes. It comes with a little rear shelf attached that was installed as it was shipped out. HeyBike also sells additional accessories if you want baskets, front and rear, and it's just kind of wild in my brain. That with just a couple quick little lever pulls, I can fold up this big bike and throw it into the trunk of a normal sized passenger vehicle. As a quick tangent, I've had these ideas for other e-bike videos that we could produce, something like taking it out to a track. I could hop on and do something like a long range battery test, but we just have little vehicles that won't work. But this is something that maybe we could pull off some of those other ideas. So if there are other kinds of videos that you'd like to see some follow-up on, this is a solution that I might be able to kind of play that out. We've got a really nice little display, a little readout here, and there is an app that can work with your phone. Really detailed information, just odometer, your speed, your distance, triptych, battery charge. It's those little niceties. I've been playing with the e-bikes long enough, like I can remember just the monochrome display, so seeing the little splashes of color, I kind of dig it, it's fun. That's a loose breakdown on all the bits and pieces, and of course I'll put up like full spec sheets and stuff on the screen as we're talking through this. Getting the bike shipped, it comes in a pretty big box. It's still a chunky boy frame. This is still a heavy e-bike frame. And the setup was good. The actual process of just getting pieces attached went pretty quick. One, I really like that the kickstand came pre-assembled. On a couple of bikes, that's been a trouble spot where you're trying to line the bike up. Maybe you don't have an arm to put a bike frame on so that you can attach everything to the bike. Kickstand, nice touch, helped get everything kind of lined up, get everything installed. I wish the box were just a little bit easier to kind of open and pull the bike out of. A few other e-bike manufacturers have started doing this thing where they kind of know a part of the box that it shipped in is probably gonna get destroyed. So I've seen some manufacturers purposely make their box fold open so that you can kind of work on the bike for a bit with all the styrofoam pieces, and then you can pull the frame out of the box that way. It's kind of like IKEA furniture, right? They give you the little tools that you absolutely need, that are necessary to complete the installation of all the parts. But if you have your own toolkit, obviously those parts are probably gonna be nicer so that you can work on the bike in an easier fashion. For someone who's a bit more of a novice rider, maybe this is your first e-bike construction, it is nice that all of the tools are included, but I wish they would do something like maybe include like a little tool pouch. Whereas a little box is probably not something that you're gonna wanna keep around. So just get any other little baggie or pouch or something so you can keep all those Allen wrenches and the little wrenches that you need to kind of tighten and torque things. And if you're investing in an expensive e-bike, I think it's worth it to also buy a full bike maintenance toolkit. It saves you a lot of headaches down the road. I don't know, you tell me in the comments. I kind of waffle back and forth on this. There's something really cool about just having an e-bike shipped to your door and there's minimal construction, but do we have to worry about more novice riders, or can we just talk to more experienced? I'm kind of trying to bridge two of those experienced demographics. I get all the parts and pieces bolted on, and that's where we get to some of the bad, almost the ugly in this review. Every e-bike you build is gonna have some kind of tweak or maintenance or adjustment. It's just the way bikes are. But this bike came shipped with two issues that were a little bit higher, a little more demanding than some of my other reviews. The first, I actually really do like that there's this guard over the derailleur. There's protection for one of the sensitive bits for your chain. But how the bike was shipped to me, this is the worst adjusted derailleur I think I've ever encountered in a bike being transported. You know, adjusting the L and H screws and even getting to a point where that kind of block screw that keeps the chain from jumping your last gear, I still had to go in and readjust the cable, that tension cable that comes from this little shifter on the handlebars. It probably took me longer to dial in the derailleur than it did to construct the whole bike. But then taking it out for its first ride, the rear brake was really spongy. The front brake, about a third pull, and I got great stopping power. The rear brake, I would have to pull it all the way to the handlebars. I've done enough brake jobs on cars, like, oh man, there's not only am I probably running low on brake fluid, but there's a lot of air in this system too for it to be that spongy. I'm getting a little concerned. I'm going through the support documentation on the HeyBike website, and they're offering up like little bits of advice like, oh, well, if the brakes are kind of spongy, just add more brake fluid. Just pouring more brake fluid in can help, but if there's air in your system and you've got a vehicle, this is a vehicle that can do almost 30 miles an hour. You really want to know that your brakes are going to be as effective as they possibly can be, and that means bleeding the air back out of the system. When you just kind of casually go through that support documentation on the website, it's very broad and it's very simple. So yeah, you just need to put in more brake fluid. Here on the brake casing, it does say to use mineral oil, but it's one of those things I want all that information detailed in the same place so that people don't have to go looking for it. So at this point, I've got two time-consuming setups and adjustments, and I finally reach out back to the folks at HeyBike because I think this is an opportunity. How would they handle it? And I had a brilliant conversation with their support staff. If these kinds of issues are getting too hard or too time consuming, they do have a list of retailers and partners that sell HeyBike and maintenance HeyBike products. They can put me in touch with someone who might be able to help with these adjustments. It put a much better feeling on the whole endeavor. We know there's really not a great way to sell the perfectly optimized, ready to go bike and then throw it into a packing crate and ship it across the country and have it dumped on your front door. Something's gonna need an adjustment, something, always. But when you've spent this much money on an e-bike and you wanna just put it all together, get out there and ride, it is a little disheartening. It is a little disappointing to know like, oh man, I'm gonna have to adjust this derailleur. Oh, I'm gonna need to bleed the brakes, and that can take a really long time. So that extra support, that extra conversation, you just wanna know that that last part of the relationship is well handled. I just gave you a ton of money for a product. I wanna know that we're still gonna chat, like you're not just gonna ghost me. Took a little longer to get it road ready than I might have preferred, but I feel like we came to a really good solution to get this product up and running. Now, riding this bike is really fun. I've become such a big fan of fat tire bikes in our neighborhood. It is so much more comfortable. I know like a road bike, more efficient, lighter, they're easier to like chain up. I mean, this is really hard to kind of secure until you start folding it up and stuff. Man, on rough road, on cracked asphalt, you're going through horse trails, maybe you do want to take it a little light off-roading. Those big grippy tires come in clutch. The ride is so smooth. I loves me just how much impact is absorbed before it starts even getting to the suspension or kind of rattling me in my seat. So this is the most powerful e-bike that I've gotten to spend an extended period of time with. Like I've done a few things to just hop on a bike, like, wow, that was really fast. It's practically a motorcycle, pew, 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 pew. 1,000-watt motor, peak output, 1,800 watts. Torque sensor, so smooth. As you're going through the motor controls, you're dialing up power and you're adjusting that with the gearing on that rear wheel. I was expecting something just a little spookier to ride. Pushing into that pedal and the application of torque kind of just ramps with how you're pedaling the bike. It's so smooth, you kind of want to build up to it. Like you don't want to just go full bore because you can get yourself going faster than you might be comfortable with, but it's happening so smooth, you might not realize how fast you're actually going. I've done that dance with family and friends, like taking them out to ride an e-bike for the first time, and you're like, you really need to get into the habit of controlling your motor, kind of like how you control your gearing. You want to get to a stoplight and then gear down, so you're back down in like first gear, but then you forgot to adjust your motor and it's in like stage 5. You go to pedal and the bike just launches because it's ready to go because you told it to go. Gotta say, for how smooth the pedal assist is, for how responsive, how organic that extra application of power is, I'm not sure I love this throttle assembly. So when you push down into this throttle, there's almost just a fraction, just like a tiny touch of dead zone right at the beginning of the pull. And then as the motor kicks in, it pulls. So it doesn't ramp in quite the same way. There's like an early motor application that maybe comes on a little strong. The first couple times I hit that was actually a little spooky. People make jokes like, oh, well, is this like fitnessy if you're riding an e-bike because the motor's doing all the work for you? And you know what, surprisingly, if you're hitting that throttle and you're not pedaling that hard, you actually are engaging your arm muscles more than you might think you would. But also you can check out the statistics. If people are out there riding more on e-bikes, it is actually better for fitness in general than not riding at all. I've been riding it for about a week. There's not really much on here that I feel is missing. Kind of looking around the frame, and I wish I had bolts or something so that I could easily just slap on a water bottle holder. I know that gets a little messier, a little different when the whole frame can kind of collapse and fold in on itself. Still would be kind of nice since I probably won't go basket on this kind of bike. I might go rear basket, but I don't think I'm gonna go front basket. I love seeing the app integration. I think just moving forward, I hope more bike manufacturers will look at official support for the Find My networks. It's something that we've been talking about on some of the other bike videos. There are some manufacturers who are already playing ball with Apple's ecosystem, so your bike shows up just like an AirTag. There's that really great story here in Southern California of a girl who had an AirTag on her bike and was able to recover her lost bike, her stolen bike, excuse me. So I'll probably find some little part on the frame where I can clip on an Android tracker for the Google Find My network. It would be nice if that kind of stuff were now just getting incorporated. This is a sizable purchase. Like it's not an inexpensive device. You might want to find those other opportunities to keep them safe. But yeah, other than a couple little pieces like that, and especially at this bike's price, not only MSRP, but also at the sale price, I couldn't think of any other little bits that I felt were really lacking or missing. This is a beautifully complete device. It is fun to get out there and ride. It is incredibly powerful. It is so fun to just kind of like merge with traffic. You know, here around the high school, the speed limit on mornings is 30 miles an hour, and you know what? Cars aren't really needing to get around me. Oh, just another little mini nitpick because I had it down here. I don't love the little rubber plug here on the battery. So the battery detaches, it charges up. I think it's got a 4-amp charger, so it charges decently fast. But the exact same plug that you use when the battery's detached has a little hole through the frame. Now, I think that's clever, except the little cover that they've got, it's got this kind of bump on it that it makes it kind of hard to line up. Like, I drove all the way over here and it had already popped its way back out. So it's like, it's one of those little things that you've got to like double or triple check that it's actually in there, it's actually secure, because you want to get your charge port all clogged up if conditions are a little wet or you're going through mud or something like that. Knowing I can quickly flick on a headlight, knowing my brake lights are alerting drivers to my riding condition. I've got turn signals. I showed my wife and she was like, oh my God, that's so adorable. I love the turn signals. Like, that sold her on the bike right there as like a safety feature that we're telling drivers what's going on. So HeyBike estimates this for around 55 miles of range. Now, that's a really broad and a really wide estimate, because we have an incredibly powerful motor on this bike. And if you're gunning the throttle super hard and you're taking it up and down hills, because we have a lot of hills here in my neighborhood, you are not gonna get 55 miles of range. That is just not a thing that happens. So I'd like to put this out there to the audience. Now that I have a bike that maybe I could take to a track or to some kind of remote destination where I'm not gonna have to compete with traffic, I'm considering doing the most boring video I can think of. Getting a second battery, charging both of them, and then see what is the real practical mileage if I'm gunning the throttle and I'm letting the bike do all the work for me and I'm just running laps. Like maybe I find like a 1-mile circuit that I can just run laps on. What is the real mileage of that bike with a respectably chunky boy rider putting weight on the frame? I have to imagine that powerful motor at stage 1 versus powerful motor at stage 5 is going to have a significant difference in total mileage, but it's really hard to kind of communicate what that might be, because realistically, it's a mix. It's a mix of pedal assist, a mix of throttle. We're not just doing one thing all the time. But at least we could start talking about what is the impact of the motor. I think the best way to do that would literally just go take it out for hours, hours of riding around in a 1-mile loop. Man, I'm trying to think, like, if I do 28 miles an hour, every hour would be 28 miles. Would it last more than an hour? He's like, now I really want to go and do this. And thankfully, I can close this bike all up and throw it in the back of a Nissan sedan. Some teething pains getting it set up, but I really appreciate the company's response and their outreach, their support. I think did a very good job of communicating back and forth with me over those issues. And it's a bike that's been turning heads. I've gotten so many questions about it just in the first week that I've been taking this out to ride it. I was so glad that they shipped a pretty color. So I will absolutely leave some links down below this video where you can find more information on HeyBike. They've got a whole range of e-bikes that you can check out, not just folding frames like this, some proper, rigid frames too. If you have any thoughts or suggestions on follow-up content, like I really want to do that long-range riding test and just see, but please drop some comments down below or if you have any questions on what it's been like with my previous e-bikes. I'm also looking at putting together a little mileage diary, like how much local neighborhood commuting have I taken off of our car so that I'm not always riding around in an internal combustion engine vehicle. It's just a product category I've really been wanting to incorporate more on the channel. Technology that's helping us address some of these other sustainability and lifestyle issues. It's really encouraging seeing how good these products have been getting year over year over year. The evolution has been fantastic. So the people who get to see the results of my conversations with that kind of tech first are, of course, my incredible patrons, all of the people on patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. The list of names scrolling by on your screen right now. A huge thank you from the bottom of my heart, as these are the folks that are helping to keep the lights on back in the Gadget Lab, and none of my road tests, reviews, interviews, editorials, none of that would be possible without their support and without their contributions. The conversations we get into really do help drive the direction of future topics and reviews, and basically they're just the coolest tech pals in the universe. So I hope you'll check them out. I hope you'll consider joining the community at patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. Now, you know where you can find me across the rest of the internet, at SomeGadgetGuy, basically everywhere. But these days I'm spending a bit more time on the Mastodons, a little on the Blueskis, and not much at all on the Threads or the Facebooks or the Instagrams, and none at all on that dumpster fire site. And I will catch you all on the next review.